Childhood poverty really is a crisis here in the United States, and Milton and Catherine Hershey had the vision to understand that that crisis was existing then and that they could do something about it. What the school does is stop the cycle of poverty. You know, it did that for me, and it's done that for countless other alumni. I was living in New York City with my mom and my younger brother, Osahan, and we were not in a good situation. One bedroom, really small, cramped apartment in our neighborhood was not very safe, not very clean, and fortunately my mom learned about the school through a friend. I was 11 years old when I came to Milton Hershey School. I was in the 6th grade. I came to a student home with a bunch of great girls and house parents who were welcoming, and I just flourished being here at Milton Hershey School. I got involved in any and everything. Milton Hershey School is blessed with a wealth of resources to, curtail the challenges of poverty. And we understand that dealing with our students, they need that whole child care. It comes from meeting their basic needs with food and clothing and medical and dental care, but also providing them with that sense of stability, that sense of belonging, that sense of safety. That vision and mission that the school had, it started back in 1909 and continues today, and that there are amazing people who continue to push that mission and vision forward. I came back to work at the school in 2014 as an elementary division home life administrator. I feel like I'm giving a little bit back, for what was given to me, and allows us to continue to do great work and really impact the cycle of poverty.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us in the first of a series called Poverty Talks, where we provide opportunities to hear from our experts on how Milton Hershey School addresses the hardships of poverty and helps children to lead healthy, fulfilling, and productive lives like our mission states. Recently, MHS was featured in a book by New York Times journalist Andrea Elliott titled Invisible Child, looking very closely into the realities children and their families face living in poverty in the United States. It provides a look at our school, too, and shares a glimpse of our whole child approach to education. During our talk today, we're going to learn more about that whole child approach that comes at no cost to our students and their families. I'm joined today by a number of my colleagues who work to support our students every day and whose teams provide the services and resources to address the challenges children face. Just to make some quick introductions before we get started, joining me are Nadine Krempa. She is our Director of Enrollment Management and Family Relations. Hi, Nadine. AJ Rinaldi, Elementary Division Home Life Administrator. Dr. Beth Shaw, she's our Executive Director of Student Support Services. And Dr. Erica Weiler-Timmons, Director of Psychological Services and Training here at Milton Hershey School. And I'm Lisa Scullin, Vice President of Communications. I will be moderating today's talk. And we know the pandemic, we were just talking before we started, the pandemic has hit everybody hard, especially low-income families and children. We've seen the media reports, we've seen the research, a recent study out of Georgetown University, University of Oklahoma, Tulsa, talked about families experiencing job loss, home loss, food insecurity. So I want to start from the psychological perspective, and I'll go first to Dr. Beth Shaw. Can you tell me a little bit about what poverty in America looks like today?
Absolutely, Lisa. Thank you. Let's start prior to the pandemic. Research has been consistent that children and teens growing in impoverished circumstances report higher rates of challenges across both physical and mental health development compared to peers of other socioeconomic backgrounds. They also can struggle more in school. And then this is further compounded by less access to services, care, supports necessary to address these challenges. And more recently, the research has focused on the impact of what is being called adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs for short, and the impact of those ACEs on children's development and life outcomes, Some examples of the ACEs include different types of abuse, witnessing domestic violence in the home, parental incarceration, family substance abuse issues, as well as family mental health challenges. And the most striking element of this research are the findings that ACEs can actually alter a child's brain development. And this has provided greater insight into some of the explanations behind the physical, mental health, and school challenges that children living in poverty face. But the good news is that the story does not end there. Schools, families, healthcare agencies, and communities can provide supports, services, and treatment to alter the potential impact of ACEs on children and teens. And as a matter of fact, the single most significant intervention is a sustained, responsive adult relationship with a child or teen. These responsive relationships can be anyone: parent, teacher, coach, grandparent, or a community member who is actively involved in a child or teen's life. But now let's consider the additional impact of the pandemic. I often describe the pandemic as an Uber ACE. Not only are children experiencing this chronic stressful state for almost 2 years now, and that's true nationally, internationally, but they also worry about the realities associated with the pandemic, their own health, the health of their parents and primary caregivers and other family members, death of family members. We've had some applicants at Milton Hershey School who have lost 3 and 4 family members to COVID. There's loss of parental and primary caregivers' jobs and financial stability, as well as food scarcity. These are the realities that children living in poverty are facing throughout the pandemic. And so what makes it an Uber ACE in my mind is not only are children struggling with these chronic realities, but also the very school and community supports, and especially those sustained responsive relationships, have been largely removed or at least diminished, so that children and teens no longer have the access to the supports, services, activities, daily structure, and those caring adults that counter the impact of ACEs, hence the Uber ACE definition. And Lisa, as a matter of fact, the US Surgeon General just released a report earlier this week that describes a chilling national crisis surrounding the mental health needs of children and teens. And the report also further describes how the pandemic has complicated this national crisis even more so. And so really, the concerns facing children in poverty during this pandemic are very real.
It's just another layer that makes it so difficult, especially for children. Dr. Weiler-Timmons, I want to give you an opportunity to weigh in too from the psychological standpoint.
Absolutely. Also, recent research also suggests that due to the chronic stress of poverty, poverty in and of itself is considered or may be considered an adverse childhood experience. And we know that adverse childhood experiences puts children at greater risk from physical and mental health difficulties throughout their lifetime. Some of the impact of those ACEs include chronic health conditions, mental illness, substance abuse, misuse in adulthood, decreased education and job opportunities, toxic stress that impacts brain development and affects attention, decision-making, learning, and response to stress. And at least 5 of the top leading causes of death are associated with ACEs. The economic and social cost to families, communities, and society totals hundreds of billions of dollars a year.
So it's a very large financial cost in addition to the emotional, personal cost as well. Nadine, in your role in admissions, you work very closely with students, prospective students as well, and their families. How do you present the mission of Milton Hershey School to them?
That's a great question, Lisa. We can't talk about Milton Hershey School without mentioning our founders, Milton and Catherine Hershey. We tell their story of how they were unable to have children of their own, so they poured their hearts and resources into helping children in social and financial need so that they had an opportunity to be successful adults and successful children. And here we are more than 110 years later, and the mission of Milton Hershey School and the Hershey's legacy is still alive and well and is stronger than ever. We also talk about the mission when we share that our goal is to break the cycle of poverty, and we provide the resources and support to help accomplish that goal. And lastly, we share the opportunities of Milton Hershey School provides. We are one of the world's best private schools. We offer a top-notch education and a positive home life to children in pre-K through 12th grade. from families of lower income, all at no financial cost to them.
And we saw those pictures there, and going on 112 years, and it's amazing to see how much forethought and how progressive our founders were to be thinking about the whole child. And I want to go to AJ now. From your background, your expertise, and your work with your teams in home life, how do you provide that whole child approach?
Well, Lisa, in home life at Milton Hershey School, we provide a family setting for our students in nearly 200 student homes on campus. These homes are maintained by the school year round, and each home is managed by a married house parent couple who have some childcare experience. Now, for high school seniors, we offer transitional living. And transitional living is a program that's designed to grow skills for leading successful lives post graduation. Our seniors live independently in apartment style residence, and they receive support from the staff members in their building. In addition to that, Milton Hershey School also focuses on social and emotional learning through a program called the Compass Project. Now, the Compass Project, it provides an age-appropriate, formal or informal lesson in the student home with a focused topic that helps MHS students develop strong character and leadership skills. Our house parents, they facilitate these meetings, and then they follow up with students throughout the month to help reinforce that topic. These are just a few of the ways that home life takes a whole child approach.
And it really is individualized care. And you talked about having the home life curriculum, which is unique to Milton Hershey School. And you hear Milton Hershey School, but often you don't think of it that it's a home as well. So speaking of the school, I don't want to keep going without taking the opportunity. Nadine, prior to your time in admissions, you worked in one of our school buildings as a principal in middle division. What is that in the classroom, in the school building? What does that whole child approach look like?
You're right, Lisa. I was fortunate enough to be the principal both of our middle school and the assistant principal in our senior division. So I feel blessed that I was able to see just how different departments work with our students. Right now in admissions, my team serves as the point of contact and the initial point of contact and resource to help families and applicants through the application process. But when I was a principal, I did witness just some pretty remarkable things happening to help support the whole child. For example, MHS provides students with plenty of opportunities for specialized courses, which include advanced placement and other college credit bearing courses, pre-apprenticeships, internships, career and technical education training, visual and performing arts courses, and an opportunity to provide or to participate in a robust agriculture and environmental education program. Something else that's fascinating about the whole child approach is it really comes from our Graduate Programs for Success Division, or GPS, which helps build bridges between high school and college, technical school, the workforce, or the military. GPS provides individualized support by a team of experts, which include counselors and mentors that help students and young alumni navigate milestones such as applying to college, choosing a major, or finding an apartment. So, when you are looking at the scholastic realm, there's just so much support and generosity and resources into making sure our students are successful.
Yeah, it's really every critical point in development academically, career-wise, after Milton Hershey School.
Mhm.
And Dr. Shaw, I want to get a sense from you. At school, we obviously focus on children from lower income backgrounds, but because of the pandemic, because of the research we talked about earlier, school is so difficult for all children. And I want to get a sense from you how you see the pandemic, our current reality, the state of affairs in our world today, how that translates into current student needs.
Absolutely, Lisa. I think all schools are struggling and trying to create plans and strategies and systems to ensure that kids are getting the education that they need. And I think everyone is doing the best that they can. And here at Milton Hershey School, we are incredibly blessed by our founders' generosity and vision. We've been able to develop and maintain a whole child approach for both education and programming for all of our students who are enrolled here at the school. We have a wide range of wraparound services and resources that include dental, medical, psychological, behavioral, social work, as well as food and clothing, some of the very things that Adodo talked about in her video that really help address the challenges that children in poverty face. So for example, visiting the clothing room, our students go there 2 times a year. They receive they're fitted for coordinated clothing for school, leisure wear, and what we call their Sunday best. And if you ever see one of our elementary student homes, the young men in their little blazers and the young ladies in their dresses and jumpers, it really is heartwarming. They can also get fitted for clothing throughout the school year because of growth spurts. You know, we need to make sure that we have them in proper fitted clothing. In terms of food, we provide all meals both through our school cafeterias and in the student home settings. We are very much focused on healthy lifestyles and healthy food. So students are also provided education about balanced meals, proper hydration, as well as kind of age-appropriate food portions. And, you know, given that we were created by our founders, the Hersheys, we need to be mindful that there is some sweets that we offer and some candy, but we need to really balance that. It's a good treat once in a while. Hair care, that is important to all of us. And at Milton Hershey School, we have what was called Spartan Styles, and that's a fully licensed hair salon and barber shop. So students get their trims, their hairstyles, and their hair care advice for all students. Turning to healthcare, our medical team, we have pediatricians, nurses, CNAs, registered dietitians. They are providing medical care to our students 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year in our health center. We also have school-based medical clinics in each of our school buildings, and that serves both as a traditional school nurse clinic, what most people would think in school buildings, but it is also the pediatrician office. So all of our students get yearly well-child checks, as well as this is where they first come to manage any kind of chronic or acute medical conditions. Then we go on to dental care. We have dentists, orthodontists, dental hygienists, as well as dental assistants, and they offer a full range of dental services, including education on proper daily oral hygiene, cavity prevention. They even practice the toothbrushing, as well as addressing oral disease and tooth decay. In addition to these medical and dental services, we also offer some specialty clinics on campus. So for example, we have an eye clinic 3 days a week that addresses all of our students' vision needs. And we have cardiology as another example. Once a month, the specialists come to campus, so that way it minimizes the time that children are out of class. And instead they just come to an appointment here on campus as opposed to traveling to a doctor's appointment off campus.
It's always been so impressive to me, the work of both in the school buildings, in each of the school buildings, the clinics, and then our health center, which is the dedication and the expertise and the care. There's really no level in the hierarchy of needs that goes unaddressed and unmet. And I want to zoom into psychological health. Dr. Weiler Timmons, how widespread really is the problem? Mental health is so important. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely, it is. In the United States, however, less than half of children who have mental health difficulties or challenges receive the treatment or services that they need. So again, we are so fortunate with the gift of our founders to have the resources to meet the needs of our students, as well as to individualize their care. Our team really worked from an interdisciplinary approach with all of the professionals that we have here at the school to enable us to provide individualized interventions for our students. In terms of the psychological services team, our goal is to help students achieve success in their lives. And our staff includes psychologists, school psychologists, psychotherapists, behavioral support specialists, contracted drug and alcohol staff, and contracted psychiatric services. Our clinical services include individual and group therapy, assessment, medication management, as well as crisis intervention 24/7. And our behavioral services team provides individual and group skill building to help students build the skills necessary for success. And since our students come from families of low income, we know that this population, unfortunately, has experienced high rates of adverse childhood experiences. And therefore, our staff really function from a trauma-informed approach to help improve student outcomes. And our approach to whole child care focuses on effective ways to help students recover from ACEs, to provide them with stable support, resources, and strategies to persevere and succeed in life.
And it's not just the students, but their families as well, partnering with us
Mhm.
to support the children at this difficult time. And Dr. Shaw, you work very closely managing, leading social work at the school. And it's not just the students, it's the families too. What does that look like?
Mhm. And just a brief word about that. Some of the more recent research surrounding children in poverty, we really do need to consider this multi-generational approach. So it is important to consider the needs of families as well. And so our social workers do an incredible job of addressing both the needs of our children and their families as best as we're able to make sure that their basic needs for food, housing, and healthcare are provided both while on campus and then when they're back in their home communities. Our licensed social workers help with the transition services for our students. They assist with public service programs like medical assistance and social security benefits. They also are the gatekeepers of our parents and our students' custody. And so we always want to make sure that we at the school are working with the legal guardians of our students that they've entrusted to our care. And so they really serve also as the link for child welfare agencies and the court systems. And so they truly are comprehensive case managers for our students and their families. Our social workers are just such a critical piece to that overall provision of care on campus and while students are at home.
And AJ, you talked a little bit about your work in home life. And what does that look like from the standpoint of also supporting the family beyond just the child?
In terms of home life, I would say it all begins with the house parents. Um, House parents are really the lifeblood of our department. House parents provide day-to-day guidance, support, discipline for the children in their care. They take an active and involved interest in the lives of their students. I can say, as a former house parent, they really go a long way in establishing that responsive adult relationship that Dr. Shaw talked about earlier. They provide students a structured, caring home away from home. They teach life skills that help students build character, all while they work to help students succeed both academically and socially. Now, while no one can replace a student's primary caregiver, I would say that house parents provide students consistent support that they could depend on while they're here at Milton Hershey School. House parents, teachers, and staff, they work together to keep parent sponsors informed and in touch with their child. Um, House parents provide students uh, the care they need. They serve parent sponsors as a primary contact, and parent sponsors. They also help by maintaining a close connection with their child through phone calls, weekly visits, letters, emails, FaceTime, Zoom meetings, and other things of that nature.
It's so great to see the kids being kids and enjoying their time outdoors and taking advantage of all of the opportunities. And so let's go back to our whole child approach. Nadine, I wanted to ask you, why is that whole child approach so valuable when you're talking to students, prospective families? What do you hear and see as the value in that?
Well, we talk about the opportunities, Lisa, And the opportunities here are so valuable because they allow students to really find their passion, and that helps them get closer to achieving their dreams. We offer experiences for students and kids to move out of their comfort zones to help them discover any hidden talents they may not even known they had. Another opportunity MHS offers is the peace of mind for our families to know their children have access to the same resources, the same opportunities, and the same experiences as kids who come from more affluent backgrounds. MHS also has an entire community of support who are all here for the same reason, and that is to help students and families in social and financial need become successful adults. And that is really, I think, the Milton Hershey magic here. We really believe that it takes a village to raise a child, and that is exactly what we do here, and that is truly something special and unique about our community. And lastly, I would say the opportunities at MHS are so valuable because we help remove any barrier to a child's future success. And when you remove those barriers, that is really what helps kids grow and blossom.
We really go further together. AJ, what's your take from home life?
That's a great question. I think that the opportunities at MHS are so valuable because they're potentially transformational opportunities for our students and our families. When our parent sponsors make the courageous decision to enroll their child at MHS, I think they do it because when they look at their child, they see the best version of their child. They see a world of possibilities for their child. They see a lot of potential in their child. The Milton Hershey School provides the platform that our students need for the world to see them that same way. When our parent sponsors first, begin to become familiar with MHS, I think the first thing they might notice are all the tools, all the resources at the school's disposal, thanks to the generosity of our founders, Milton and Catherine Hershey. But what they might not notice, Lisa, is perhaps our best asset. And that's not the resources of our school, but it's the resourcefulness of our staff. I think the Milton Hershey School attracts some of the most highly skilled, good-hearted people that you can find. The people on our frontline staff, our house parents, our teachers, our activity leaders, our custodians, the people who interact most frequently with our students. They care for our students, they challenge our students, they help shape our students with the help of our parent sponsors, and they equip our students to go out into the world and afford them the opportunity to do some really good things.
It's so important to flag that. I'm glad you pointed that out because in addition to the expertise and the experience of staff here, you'll never find a group of more kind-hearted, committed, devoted people. And so I think that's definitely part of the magic. From your lens, Dr. Shaw, how do you see the work of the committed individuals and teams here at Milton Hershey School breaking the cycle of poverty?
Yeah, and it really does take a team approach, Lisa. I've always viewed Milton Hershey School as leveling the playing field and allowing our students to really benefit from all the resources and programs and services that we have. I often think of it from a Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And while we assist our students across all levels to achieve that self-actualization, we hope, our whole child approach really provides and focuses very much so on those very first two layers, meeting all of their basic needs and then providing safety and a sense of belonging. We continually strive to provide the opportunities and supports that allow students to focus on their own development and to promote a trajectory for improved outcomes across all developmental domains. It is a very individualized journey, though, for each student, and their level of engagement with the Milton Hershey School community, and that includes their level of engagement with programs and supportive healthcare services, that is a large contributing factor to each student's outcome. Again, at Milton Hershey School, we continue to highlight for all of our staff that critical importance of those responsive, sustained relationships with our students. And as we all mentioned earlier, those research findings continue to state how critical those sustained responsive relationships are to help students have better outcomes that continue beyond childhood and teenage years.
And Dr. Weiler-Timmons, how about you?
Well, at MHS, we provide equity of opportunity for students to achieve their goals in life through our holistic approach to education, development, and their well-being. Our whole child approach philosophy with an emphasis on social emotional learning helps shape every aspect of our students' lives, their character, self-esteem, wellness, and more. We're incredibly fortunate to have the resources to meet the needs of students and to provide high levels of services to help ensure their success. Our students have the opportunity to obtain exceptional education, build healthy relationships, obtain career exposure, healthcare, treatment, intervention, and opportunities for post-secondary education and training, which all help them to succeed in adulthood.
And we're running out of time. I want to take the last minutes that we have here during this lunch break to just get a sense from all of you what you find most impactful, what you're most proud of the work done here at Milton Hershey School. And I'll start with you, Dr. Weiler-Timmons.
For me, I feel fortunate to be able to support the mission of Milton Hershey School every day. The school has touched so many lives, and it really puts into perspective the greater impact of our work. I'm proud to work alongside some incredibly dedicated and passionate colleagues who want to support our students and their families and see them succeed. And having the opportunity to help students break the cycle of poverty and meet their goals in life is truly inspiring.
And the work here is never done, Dr. Shaw. I think someone needs you. So let's let's get to you and get your sense.
Okay, I am technology challenged, and that is nothing I'm proud of. I thought I muted my phone, so my apologies. I continue to be in awe of how each person makes a difference here at Milton Hershey School. And then when we work collaboratively, there is nothing that we can't accomplish for our students and their families. It's what keeps me coming back every single day at work. And despite this pandemic, it is just powerful.
And the need definitely has increased in the last couple of years for sure. How about you, AJ?
I would say I'm most proud of having done work in group homes and different state facilities for kids before arriving at MHS. I'm most proud that MHS has the tools, the facilities, and more importantly, the people that we need to get the job done to see the mission and the vision of our founders all the way through to the end and help make a difference in the lives of the children that we serve.
Nadine, how about you?
What makes me most proud, Lisa, is when I hear firsthand feedback from our families about the impact we have had on their life when their children enrolls at Milton Hershey School. Recently we had a mother reach out to us and just thank us. She enrolled her child primarily for some safety reasons. And she said she is so grateful, and that is just a burden she doesn't carry anymore, that she has to worry about that. And her child is thriving here and is just doing a phenomenal job as a student and just as a blossoming young adult. She's just doing great. So it's the multiple stories like that firsthand feedback. It reminds me of why we're here and the important work that we do.
So important. And I have kept you guys now through lunch, and I know that the needs are great and your work is so important. So I'm so grateful you took the time to join us today to share a little bit more about the mission of Milton Hershey School in our Poverty Talks, the whole child approach to education. It's the first. So thanks for kicking it off with us. We're going to be doing more of these in the new year. 2022 will be here before we know it. If you at home or at work, wherever you're joining us from, want to learn more about Milton Hershey School, please go to mhskids.org. And you can also check out our social media channels in the coming months for more conversations like this, whether it's LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, or Facebook. Thanks so much for joining us today. Have a great day.
What if there was a place where every kid got a chance to be great? Where everything they do is meant to help us? There is a place, and there's no other place like it. It's my school, Milton Hershey School. Let me start from the beginning. Our founders were Milton Hershey, the famous chocolate maker, and his wife Catherine. They wanted to help children who didn't have much, to create a place that was safe, where nothing would hold kids back. The Hersheys believe learning shouldn't have a price, so we don't pay anything to go to school here. Everything we need is taken care of, even a place to live with other students our age, with caring house parents to watch over us. In our homes, we learn to accept and appreciate one another, because the things that make us different bring us together. Our classrooms, they have no walls. We learn by doing and exploring through programs that give us an early start on college and our careers. We get to grow our talents, play with passion, and we always celebrate our success. You see, we're more than a school. We're a community. We listen, serve, and find our voices. We change lives. I know, because this place changed mine. Milton Hershey once said that if he could provide for 100 kids, it would be worth it. But look at us now, more than a century of memories. 11,000 graduates and counting, and there's still more good to do. Because here, we have the chance to be great. I want to be great. And you? Well, you can be next.